Hi, I'm Dr. J. Bowman. I practice in Portage, Michigan, and I live in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Originally, I wasn't sure that that was what I was going to do. I had been told by my father, who was a small town physician, back when I was a senior in high school, I had to think about being an orthodontist. I was always surprised about why he would even think that. But it wasn't really till my third year of dental school that I decided that that would be the pathway I'd like to follow. And at that point, then you get invested in the whole thing, and going through orthodontic residency is much different than going through dental school, which is more of a cookbook type thing, whereas in orthodontics is more of a kind of a Socratic method of teaching. So I really enjoyed it and really applied myself at that time, which I wasn't always prone to do back prior to that. Well, I would say that orthodontics is not only my vocation, but it's also my avocation. Um, I I spend the majority of my time either doing orthodontics, thinking about orthodontics, writing about orthodontics, giving lectures, teaching, whatever. It's just all about orthodontics. For example, my wife says, if you ever decide to get out of this, you better have something else to do because otherwise I'll throw you out the window. Well, orthodontics is a service, but it's based in science. So there's art and science built into what we do. And we know that we change lives with what we do by creating better smiles and aesthetics for these folks, but also better function. And as a result, even though we're in the healthcare industry, it's not like a life and death situation. It's primarily something that is just elective, but I think that the general public really appreciates the value of having had orthodontic treatment. Probably that I probably a lot of people do know it, but I was very involved in music, record collector forever, owned a record store in dental school, was on college radio, the music director, played in bands, been a DJ. And the best thing is I get to hang out with a lot of musicians that I've met over the years, especially the band Los Lobos. The one where the patient and the parents are non-cooperative. It doesn't matter what the difficulty level of the actual treatment might be, but if we have an unwilling patient, we're unlikely to be successful. So certainly the surgical treatments, open bites, adults are all difficult situations. But you throw in non-compliance and it just complicates everything. Well, I've been involved for quite a while, and when I was a student, we were introduced to bonding brackets, and in fact, half of our patients were still in full bands. So I would say bonding has been perhaps one of the most important changes. I think that doing digital scanning has been dramatic change. Um, I would say that those are probably two of the major changes that have occurred since I got into orthodontics. I'm not sure it's going to be that dramatically different from what I've seen so far. Obviously, everyone is talking about digital everything. There seems to be more interest in printing of aligners or appliances within the office. I'm not one that's really adopted all of that because I don't want to be a manufacturer of products in my office. So I've told folks I just don't want to do that type of stuff. If because I am a single practitioner, I'd rather work on other things. I'm not certain that those actual supposed advances are as important as things that may occur that may not be as savory, such as all of the consolidation of practices within corporate levels. Maybe there are good things to that. I'm not so certain after talking to a lot of people that are involved in those types of things. Maybe in 10 years, that will be the dominant method of practicing. And maybe these digital products made in an office where they have the capabilities of doing that may take on more of the role of buying brackets from a manufacturer. I don't know. But I don't know that those two things are going to just take over within 10 years. I don't know. We were told that aligners would take over braces, and it hasn't happened. When I was a student, we had Larry White, who was one of the I don't know if he's original, but one of the former editors of the JCO, come and teach. And I happened to become friends with Larry. And I also had a classmate that ended up practicing also in Texas. And through that, we visited. And I really admired what Larry had done. We'd done some things together. And I don't know when I first wrote an article, but it's been a long time ago, the first thing that I had published in the JCO. And I got interested in what could I do as far as a research project in my office? How could I do that? And so from there on, I started thinking about ways that I could do simple research projects clinically and write articles about it. And I enjoyed doing that and enjoyed working with the JCO, all through the editors that have been there. And I've certainly written for other journals, but I like the clinical aspect because I am a clinician. I'm not sitting at the university writing research papers. So it became something that was a challenge and fun for me. I wouldn't do it if I didn't have fun doing it. I mean, it's work. It's hard to write articles. Some people can just let this flow out. I can't. So, it's a challenge with a blank piece of paper in front of you to put something down that somebody else might want to read about. Again, I think that I've learned a lot from the articles published in the JCO clinically, and it stimulated my thought into being able to come up with things on my own and knowing that maybe some of this might be of use to other people. So I've enjoyed reviewing for the JCO. I think I've done recorded lectures. I just have always looked to the JCO as my as a go-to to learn something or provide materials for other people to learn something. Again, I think it's a great source of clinical information, although some of the papers, like even I've written, were actually more research oriented, things that might be published in different journals. And I chose to, submit them to the JCO. So I think it's been a great source for a variety of things that you might not find in other types of journals. And I think that the quality of the print, the photography, I think that as reviewers, we find and select good things that many people might want to see. Well, much of the work that I did clinically was with molar distalization. And I've written a lot of articles, not only in the JCO on that topic. And so seeing other people's input and their different methods of doing molar distalization or other class 2 corrections, all of that material I would save and use for my own practice and also for things that I wrote, even if it wasn't in the JCO, maybe a book chapter or something. So I think that prolonged look at a specific method of correction was extremely important to me and led to a lot of opportunities to lecture and to write, etc. Well, as I said, I don't think you can get the same materials from certainly the other research journals, which are very important. I mean, I certainly subscribe to, I think, just about all of them. But there's that little difference with the JCO in the clinical area that isn't, and it doesn't have to just be clinical mechanics. It could be things like the surveys and the practice management materials and advice and tips. All of that stuff is not really found in another journal, in my opinion. Probably communication skills. I was not someone who was very vocal, or I didn't speak in class. I never imagined I would do the things I have done in terms of giving lectures, of writing articles and book chapters, and traveling around and being able to have people want to hear what I have to say. I just never imagined that ever would be part of what I would do in practice. So I wish I knew that was going to happen instead of having it happen by accident. I think paying attention to the quality of your treatment and communications are as valuable as anything else you can do, because you can spend way more time dealing with people that may be unhappy, or the results aren't what you were looking for, or you have trouble during treatment. I would say take the time to spend with the patients. I hear folks talk about share of chair and all of these kinds of things. If I'd been focused only on that from the beginning, I think I would have had a much different practice than what I have now. I work on efficiencies. We've certainly done that, or we continue to modify things within the practice to serve the patients. And it sounds kind of trite sometimes to say, well, I'm just concerned about the quality of care for the patients and their experience, but it really is the most important thing. You can have all of the latest gadgets and gears and gizmos and still not have a great practice. It's that attention to detail, I think, that has helped so much over the years. And plus the fact that I spend the time to think about it, and that's where all this stuff has come from. I once told Lyle Johnston by mistake, saying, "Oh, well, you're so smart." And he said, "No, that's not it. I take the time to think about things." And that's rubbed off on me. Looking back at my residency, I think hold this curiosity that you started with throughout the entire process. As I said earlier, that the education is much like the Socratic method. At least it was where I went to residency. So what happens is you'd have this question about something, like facial growth. And the answer from the instructors would be, go look it up. And so spend the time. I know libraries are disappearing, and now you have all these methods you can use online. But I would go find a book, find articles, whatever I could find going back in the history of orthodontics. And it was generally just in the journals that were in our library to find answers for myself. We didn't have a textbook. It was all in articles and notes, etc., from our instructors. And I think that's an incredibly more beneficial way to learn orthodontics than just look at some cookbook and expect to follow the last person, because without being able to think on your feet and come up with new ideas or new applications, it could probably become pretty boring to be an orthodontist after a period of time because of the repetition. I've never had that happen, because I'm always looking at it in a different way. Is there something else that could be done? And so be skeptical. I think that was one of the number one things we learned, is be skeptical about everything and ask questions, and question your mentors, and take chances and learn in the residency rather than find out when you get out there are things you don't understand or don't even know where the resource would be to find out. So I loved being a resident. I know that sounds crazy, but it was very difficult. But if I could go back to the same instructors in the same place, I would do it again tomorrow. Oh my gosh. I've written a lot of articles and come up with a lot of little inventions. Again, I never thought I would ever do that. Probably the simplest one that I came up with that was probably the most successful is the aligner chewy to help to seat aligners. And as simple as that was as an idea, it's been still useful. When I came up with that, I had other things that I was working on, and I thought, the aligners are going to get better so quickly that probably no one's going to have a need for the Chewies or the clear collection of instruments I have with Ufridi, but that hasn't happened. The predictability of aligners has not dramatically improved since they first came out. So we need adjuncts to aligner treatments in order to get the quality of results that we're looking for.